If over the years you've been sitting at home listening to me doing television commentaries and sometimes wondering what the hell's he on about, I'm just going to try and give you an insight into Big Ron's Ronglish. A lollipop. What a strange phrase that is for a football term. But I like to identify things. I did it as a coach when I was coaching, and I like to be able to say to people, that's a lollipop. Now, a lollipop in the broadest terms is a right foot or either foot, step over and take the ball away with your other foot.
Oh, that's good.
You say, why a lollipop? I mean, I always answer that and say, well, why do they have a googly in cricket? The term eyebrows, once again, something I've used on training grounds, and to be fair, quite a few coaches have. What it basically means, it means that if you want to just, a ball in the air, if you just want to glance and lift the trajectory only slightly, but just enough to do the defender that's behind the man and let one of your colleagues in on the second ball, that's an eyebrows. Basically, ball fizzed in at your head, just more or less just lift your eyebrows and it just skims up, does enough to beat the defender, and one of your colleagues can latch on. Spotter's badge, in short, an award for somebody that shows a great piece of vision. The sort of player that looks to be playing one way and then all of a sudden cuts a reverse pass, cuts the defence to ribbons, puts a striker through. You know, that's the sort of unbelievable talent. First class example, Glenn Hoddle. It was his stock in trade. He got great vision. A first class example of a Hollywood ball is when you say you got a midfield player on the ball, both strikers have made runs down the sides of defenders. They're looking for a short, sharp, incisive pass that takes defenders out. He then turns, swivels, hits a flashy, glitzy ball. Hence the name Hollywood, flashy and glitzy. The saying, he's been reading comics. I mean, it normally occurs, a first-class example is when you get a defender strays into uncharted territory, i.e. within 30 yards of the opposing goal, then gets a little bit of rush of blood, decides he's going to have a poke from there, and you think, oh no, just give it to somebody that can do it. Having said that, I've had one work against me. I remember we played, when I was at Sheffield Wednesday, I remember us playing Derby County. Played a good passing move, ball finished up with John Harkes, the American boy John Harkes, 35 yards out. I thought, go on son, put another pass in. We can either get Sheridan in or David Hurst. I thought, he's never gonna shoot from there. That's Peter Shilton goal. Has he been reading? What a wonderful goal. Definition of a good arrive. A player bursting off the ball, arriving in the penalty spots at the same time as the ball's delivered to him, normally culminating in a goal-scoring opportunity. Best example in England of this is Paul Scholes. Early doors is something that's been attributed to me. To be fair, I've got to say there's other people use this far more than I have in the past. But I think what you're basically saying, and I think football people understand this, you're talking about the early part of a football match. It's a common phrase, I think, in the English language. Lone Ranger in football normally means somebody having to play in a certain area of the field on their own. It's normally a centre forward who's probably been left upfield on his own while the rest of the team's packed in midfield. The name, of course, originates from the famous Western hero, Lone Ranger. A blatter. Just another word for a good thrash, a good whack-it goal. I mean, prime examples of this. Thierry Henry swivelling, hitting the ball from the edge of the box. That's a good blatter. And Frank Lampard did it many times last year for Chelsea. This is one of my favourites, the reducer. That's when you get one of your hard men in the team to look at the opposition danger man and say, hey, early, go in and put the reducer in, let him know you're around. Remember when I was at Man United, you know, we used to play against Liverpool. That was like Vietnam, it was so fierce. And we all knew that Souness would try and pick. I used to say to Arnold Muren and Ray Wilkins, don't come in moaning at half time, because you know Souness is going to kick you. So people like Remy Moses, people like Brian Robson said, you get the reducer into him a bit early.